Welcome to Traveler's Tales. I am your host, Greg Alonzo. Today I will be your guide through history as we take a look at your questions and comments. However, before we begin, just a reminder that we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Moving right along, our first question is from Dima. He wants to know, how did the Romans build a navy so quickly and defeat the top naval power of the Mediterranean? Well, Dima, the Romans captured a Carthaginian ship and discovered that each piece was numbered. The Romans then followed suit and built their own prefabricated navy. While the ships were under construction, the Romans assembled crews and had them practice rowing in unison. The Romans realized that they were not truly sailors and sought to even the odds by turning sea battles into land battles. They did this by storming the Carthaginian ships. Our next question is from Anton. Anton wants to know if I agree that Hannibal was one of the greatest generals from ancient times. Yes, Anton, I agree with you. For my money, Alexander was the greatest, with Hannibal running a close second. In fact, most militaries still study their tactics to this day. Our next comment comes from Alexa. She goes on to say that Queen Dido was indeed a clever woman. Alexa, too true. I have no idea just how much of the tale of the founding of Carthage is true. Nevertheless, it makes for a good story. Let's press on. Our next question is from Daniel. He wants to know how the Romans turned sea battles into land battles. Daniel, the Romans used a spike or a grappling hook that they called a corvus. They used this to latch onto the Carthaginian ships. They then used a boarding ramp to launch an assault by their marines. The tactic worked so well that it was the downfall of the Carthaginians. Our next question is from Lawrence. He wants to know why, with naval superiority, Hannibal attacked Rome by land. Lawrence, an excellent question. I would say that since the First Punic War was primarily a naval conflict, Hannibal believed that his army could not only beat the Romans at their own game, he sought to defeat Rome once and for all on their own homeland. I would also argue that by the time of the Second Punic War, Carthage had expanded well into Hispania, modern-day Spain. He also believed that Rome would not be prepared for an attack from the rear. After all, what army would be fool enough to attempt to cross the Alps? Our next question is from Samantha. She wants to know, why is the fight against Rome called the Punic Wars? Samantha, good question. The word Punic is how the Romans referred to the Phoenicians. Let's press on. Rodrigo makes an interesting comment. He says, kudos to Hannibal for making the near impossible trek crossing the Alps. However, let's be realistic. Crossing the Pyrenees wasn't exactly a walk through the park. Rodrigo, I have to agree with you. Hannibal also had to contend with the warlike mountain tribes that placated him. Just the thought of leading his army through Rome's back door was in itself a miracle. Next, we have a comment from Elke. She just says thanks for using maps to clearly display the locations of the Punic Republic. She really had no clue that it was in North Africa. Elke says she thought that Carthage was in the Levant. Well, Elke, you are most welcome. I also understand that it can be most daunting to try to figure out where cities are located, especially when they no longer exist. Moving right along. Our next question is from Horst. He wants to know, what types of ships did the Carthaginians sail? Well, Horst, keep in mind that the Carthaginians were master shipwrights who dominated the Mediterranean Sea. Their preferred vessel was the bireme, which had 2 levels of rowers, and later the trireme, which had 3 levels of rowers. These ships were fast and quite maneuverable. Our next question is actually a comment, and it's from Dasha. She goes on to say that she had no idea Sicily was so multicultural. Dasha, you are quite correct. Prior to the Phoenicians, Carthaginians, and the Romans, the Greeks had many settlements in Sicily. The Greeks often clashed with the Carthaginians over control of various cities in Sicily. We still have time for a few more questions. Next, we have a question from Francois. He asks, why didn't Hannibal attack Rome? Well, Francois, difficult to say. I believe it was he didn't have siege towers and the equipment or supplies needed to carry on a lengthy siege. However, he was reinforced by Carthage with elephants. Who knows, with the necessary equipment, Hannibal just may have been able to defeat the Romans and lay waste to Rome. Well, we have one more question, and this last question is from Stefano. He wants to know what kind of elephants did Hannibal use, and he jokingly adds, what was the name of Hannibal's favorite elephant? Stefano, the Carthaginians favored North African forest elephants. They stood about 2.5 meters at the shoulder. Sadly, these elephants have since gone extinct. Now, as for the name of his favorite elephant, Hannibal's favorite elephant was named Surus. He was a bit taller than the average war elephant, and from his lofty perch, Hannibal could clearly view the battle. Well, this brings us to the end of part 2 of Carthage, the Punic War. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Traveler's Tales. As a reminder, we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified each time we post new videos. For your convenience, we have also posted our email address and Instagram information. Traveler's Tales will return with the Greek heroes of antiquity, Kartistos.